Alrighty, guys, this is snugsonblitz, and I'm back with another video for you today. The other day, I ranked all the tier 6 tech tree tanks, and it was a little bit rough going. First of all, I don't play tier 6 very often these days, except if I'm helping out somebody, so it's harder for me to recognize some tanks. On top of that, I chose a World of Tanks list. I did search for one when I tried to make it, but I couldn't find one. Wouldn't you know it, right? So I did my best. We powered through it, and I think most people are not going to be staying in tier 6 that long. So hopefully you got the information that you needed out of it. And now we can get to more serious things. Tier 7 is where the gameplay really starts to take off. So many different tanks, lots of variations, different abilities and powers, especially in tier 7 with some crazily OP tanks. It is one of the most fun tiers. It can be also one of the most unbalanced tiers. Just it really depends on the makeups of the teams. So anyway, I don't want to waste any time because it's going to take 30, maybe 40 minutes to get through this. And I'm going to start off with the German line. And we're going to take this tank right here, the Tiger 1. This has always been a strong tank. And no surprise, even after the update, no change, it goes into very good. Why? Armor, gun, mobility. I mean, okay, the armor's not impervious. It's not super intimidating against tier 8, but gun is fast loading. You can dish out the damage. You can take a few hits. It is a good tank and one I think you want in your garage. Very good. And the camo looks great, especially. I think it's got 2 types, this one. I love that. What have we got? We also have the Tiger P. Where's my Tiger P? I guess it's Tiger P right here. So I'm going to put that, surprise, surprise, right next to it. Yep. Pretty much as strong as one another. One has a little bit more armor. The other one has a little bit more speed. Both deadly tanks. Very, very strong tanks. They're great to platoon together. You can double one or mix and match. Great. We have the Stir-A-Mill. Now, the Stir-A-Mill is an interesting tank. It's got no armor, and the gun hits hard. You don't want to get lit up, so you're going to have to snipe at the back. If you can do that, you're fine. So I'm going to put in good. Yeah, you'll be able to do 1,000 damage pretty easily in this tank. Just find a sniping spot and you're golden. That's it. Just don't panic. Don't push in aggressively. You can get some really cool angles with this tank, but you can check out my review of this tank if you would like to understand more about that tank. Moving on, the E25. I think a long time ago it would be up and good. Then it just lost a bit of its edge and now it's down into bad. Yeah, unfortunately, I dropped this below the Stir-A-Mill because the gun doesn't intimidate. Yes, it's death by 1,000 cuts like a Centurion. That's okay, but if they charge you, they're like, okay, I'll take a hit. Heavy tank, you'll probably bounce too. The pen is good on this tank. No ifs, ands, and buts. But to manufacture your shots, it's a little bit tougher. You do want to snipe in the beginning. It's got great camo, so use that and use your speed later on. You can also do some ramming for those lightly armored tanks. Surprisingly, quite strong. SP1C. Normally, I'd again put it in bad, but the gun does work, so you can actually snipe in the beginning of games. And I'm serious, that's what I would recommend. If you're not very good with mediums yet and you're not comfortable playing lights, just snipe. Find a bush, snipe. Sit next to your TDs. They'll be angry, they'll be pissed, they'll be like, spot, spot, spot. Ignore them because you're not very good. If you rush in, you're going to get vaporized and then they'll rage at you even more. So it's better just to sit back and do some damage at distance and look for those isolated targets, those little hit point tanks, and push on in then because the gun works. The gun flat out works. It really does. And a platoon of these can be very strong and a lot of fun too. The VK4503, I think it goes right next to the Tigers. It's essentially a Tiger. A little bit faster, armor maybe not quite as good, gun solid. Yeah, feels like somewhere in between these two tanks. And against mediums, I consider this a medium killer because you can play it like a medium and really rip some tanks apart. The VK 30.02, I'm going to go yuck. I mean, it's just a rough tank to play. It's got no redeeming features. Wargaming has got to give this tank something. It's so irrelevant, and even good players will struggle to hit 2,000 because against tier 8 tanks, I mean, you're gonna have to load Pramo. Ah, my goodness me, especially against those heavy tanks. And even then, I mean, I went up against an object 252, and I just couldn't pen it. I was like, Pramo. I was aiming it. No, no, not happening. Rough going, and I think newer players will really struggle with this tank. So I'm gonna put it right at the bottom in yuck. On the flip side, we have the J Panther. J Panther has always been strong. Now it's still strong. It hasn't changed, but it's got tungsten shell, so it's even better now. Now, the lack of a turret does weaken this tank. I get it. If it had a turret, it would be OP for sure. You gotta have some weakness, right? But this gun works, the speed works, the armor works. It's probably the best tank destroyer in tier 7. I think. I'm pretty sure. Let's see as we go through this list. The Stura WT, it's got 3 shells. It's got no armor. I think it's kind of like SP1C. You play it at distance, you dish out your damage, push in later on. Yeah, I mean, those 3 shells can be dangerous at the end of games. The Kunze-Panzer, I want to put it here, but I've got to think most players are not great at playing mediums, so I'm just going to put it in good. I really like this tank. I really, really like it, but newer players, no armor, it can't go past good usually. And the Panther, the armor is strong. I don't think it gets into very good. I don't think armor is as strong as these tanks up here, so it just stays in good. Pen is very good on this tank, so yeah, you can really do some damage if you know how to play this tank well. And against tier 6, this can be a dominating tank. I'm serious. The armor really works against tier 6. Moving on to the American tier 7 tanks. Starting off with the Concept 1B, no, the Concept T28 Concept, sorry. The concepts confuse me. The armor is very good. I think good players could be up around here. I think from other players, though, they're going to try and snipe with this tank. You don't want to snipe. It's a heavy tank. Push it in. Be aggressive. Stay with other teammates, and you are golden. But I don't think people get that. And I think this tank has the tungsten shells, which give it the edge over the T28. Might move that up. I'll think about it as we go through. The T25, very fast gun. Not quite as good as the J Panther, I don't think. So, yeah, but it is a very good tank. Armor does work, especially against tier 6 tanks. The gun is like a laser. Yeah. The Eagle. It's got a little bit of armor. I think I'm just going to good. It's okay. With a little bit of effort, you'll be okay. Not really a hard playstyle. Just kind of peek on over, shoot. And your speed is not so fast, so you won't get into too much danger too early on. Unlike the Bulldog, which the Bulldog goes into bad, it's an HE magnet. You can just get absolutely vaporized. So many new players just charge off and they're gone. Their game's over in 3 seconds. So, yeah. T29, surprise, surprise. I mean, this is the hold down god of tier 8. Sorry, tier 7. An absolutely great tank. The Yo. I'm not a big fan of this tank. Tier 7 Yo. It's big. I don't see it perform very well on the battlefield. I'm thinking about also the Eagle. Yeah, pew pew guns are really tough. There's no intimidation factor, and the pen is just okay. I want to put the Yo. I think I'll just give the edge just because it's got hit points and armor. Just scrapes into good, just like the Eagle. Just scrapes. And I think the T20 is another scraper. I'm wondering. Yeah, let's leave it like that for now. The M6, I can't go into very good. It's too slow. It does have armor. Gun hits hard. It's okay. T71, because the gun works better than the Bulldogs at distance and can pen pretty much everything on the planet. Well, I mean, in tier 6 and 7 anyway. I'm going to go into good. It just gets the slight edge of the Bulldog. It's not quite as fast, which gives it benefit. And this is a T23. I mean, it's the same as the Eagle, so just goes right next to it. These 3 tanks almost identical playstyle. If you can figure out one of them, you've got all three: the T23 Eagle, the T23 E3, and the T20. They're just identical playstyles. So we might move them down to bad later on, but let's leave them there for now. Moving on to Soviet tanks, we have the IS Berlin. It's definitely my favorite of them. I think it's close to very good here. Um, Maybe just drops down to good. I'm not sure it's quite the level of these tanks. Okay, maybe I'll just put into good. Yeah, okay. And the IS right next to it, it's about the same level. Not quite very good, but good enough. It's got hit points. SU 101, you don't see this tank on the battlefield for good reason. It's a tough tank to play with no gun depression. You have speed, you have a good gun, but a lack of turret, and it's an awkward tank to manufacture shots, to create your own shots. So it drops it down here. I think this is the ISU 122. I don't see people performing very well in it, but it's easy to play. Um, just, snipe at the back. But again, lack of gun depression, and the armor's not super good either. So I'm just going to drop it down to bad. Sorry to say. You're team dependent when you're a tank destroyer. So if your team's not doing their job, then you're going to get lit up and they're going to start working on you pretty hard. I think this is the Rudy. I believe this is the Rudy. I'm going to go. I think it's good. The armor works. It's the Soviet version of the T-23 E3 tanks and the T-20. So I'm just going to stick it right here along with the T-43, about the same, and the T-3485 or whatever it's called, the premium tank, around the same. Yeah, nothing right home about any of these things. And this is the KV-13. I'm pretty sure of that. Again, I don't see this performing as well as the other tanks. I can't explain why. So when I see it on the battlefield, it's usually someone who managed to win it in event or something, because it's such an old tank and it's been taken out of the game, and it's just not a very good tank. I think it's very comparable, but I don't know what it is. It's something about these things that give it an edge over this one. The Super Hellcat got a buff, so before it's down in bad, but yeah, it can get some bounces on the turret. The gun is very fast loading. T25, it's almost very good, but it just sticks in good. Again, you got to play hull down, and it's not super strong against tier 8. The AT7, not a fan of this tank, and I don't think many people like it or understand it. I mean, the pole is just too big. You can just like pen. It does have armor, but it is slow. Likewise, the AT15, I'm going to put in good. It seems to stay alive a little bit longer. I think it's because of the cupola. Yeah, and I don't know why. The gun seems to work better on this tank than that. I rarely see newer players do well on this tank. Rarely. The Black Prince goes right up here. Very good. Armor, guns, fast loading, and it's got that speed boost, which really does help it to get into good positions. The FV301, I believe this is, doesn't feel as strong as those tanks. I'm going to drop it down slightly. Armor gives you advantage, gets you up here. The Challenger. I mean, snipe, and at least it's versatile, so you can move around the map and got decent gun depression. Yeah, I think I'll go with good. Comet. This used to be up here, if you can believe it. OP. Now it's just good. It's not bad, but it's definitely not great anymore. It's got good gun depression. The problem is lots of people can pen it. So, oh no. This is the LTG. It's a little bit hard to manufacture shots because it is low to the ground, and I think that's going to make it suffer, but it does have speed and the gun hits pretty hard, so I'd put in the same realm of like a Stir WT, just one shot and better speed and a turret. So the SU-12244, it's a good tank. It's got armor, the gun hits hard, and it's decently fast. So it's a little bit better version of this tank, if you ask me, the 122, ISU 122 or something like that. So I think it gets the edge here. It also gets the edge of this tank, even though this also doesn't have gun depression. It's flatter, easier to conceal, and yeah, not as hard to do well in this tank. The Panther 88, yuck, and some more yuck. Oh no, you don't want that. Yeah, SU-152. It's not OP because you don't have a turret. The armor's not super great, but that derp gun, fantastic. Just load HE 152 gun. That you're golden. LTTB, it used to be very good. I think it just scrapes into good now. That speed can get you in trouble, so I could drop it down here, but I'm just going to leave it here. KV3. I thought it used to be down here or here, I guess here, but if you equip it with the 100mm, I believe it is, I forget the name, but DL10 maybe. So many tanks and so little time, right, guys? And the KV3 is one of those tanks that has, I think it has 4 guns, if I'm not mistaken. One, two, yeah, one, two. Yeah, it comes with stock gun, right? 4. Yeah, yeah, D10T. That's it. Yeah. Don't go for the guns. The reason you go for this gun is because the premium shell can actually pen tier 8 heavies. Without it, you're going to struggle to be able to hurt tier 8 heavy tanks. I'm serious. I couldn't hit them. Moving on to the French line. Now the Frenchies, they've got this one, the tank destroyer, of course. Not a favorite of mine for the longest time. It used to be down here. Then it got a little bit of a buff, and now it's up here. Yeah, the AMX AC46 managed to scrape into good now. The armor does work, especially against tier 6. Tier 7 depends the tank you're facing, but yeah, it's okay. The AMX M445, not quite up here. I think it just goes into good. It doesn't quite have the armor or the gun that I think these tanks have. So yeah, slightly, a slight downgrade, I think. You have this one. This is the AMX 1357. I mean, again, HE magnet, the pew pew gun. A lot of people don't know how to play it. I mean, you've got 6 shells, but it is crazy fun. If you want to play mad games or something like that, so much fun. And the AMX 1375, well, this gun hits. So I want to put it here, but I'm sadly, you know, people get in so much trouble with lightly armored tanks. So sorry about that, Buster. You don't get to go anywhere else. I'm gonna go with the Japanese tanks. There's only a few here. Juto, right? Juto, right? Tier 7 heavy tank. I think this is the weakest of the heavy tanks in tier 7, so I'm gonna drop it down into bad. Maybe it scrapes into good, but I just don't see people performing well in this tank when I see it out on the battlefield. I'm really happy when newer players are playing this tank because I'm like, yep, they're not going to do well. Sorry, if they're on my team, like, oh no, oh dear lord, we're in trouble. The Cheeto SPG, it's almost up here, very good. I think good players will put it here. I think I've got to put it slightly, not. Oh no, I'm going to put it up here. The armor does keep it alive. The gun hits hard. Mobility is pretty decent. I don't think it's as good as the J Panther. Sorry. The tungsten shells especially give it a big boost. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that like that. The Chiri, where did the Chiri go? Yeah, Chiri. 3 shells can be dangerous. It's pretty big, so be careful of how you hide your tank, but you can cost some people their games because if you come in late with 3 shells, a lot of them are damaged. Picking them off, boom, boom, boom. Against tier 8, you might struggle to use some Premo, but should be okay with that. Moving on to the Chinese tanks, and a few of them look similar. So let's go with the Bulldog. That's an easy pick right there. You know, goes right here. No armor. Yeah, too much speed. Too much speed is not good for newer players. It's really not. Likewise, WZ131, no armor. Same problem, same diff. The gun doesn't really pan that well, so no. We have the T34. This T34. What's the heck of the name of it? T34-1. T34-1. That's it. I think it's slightly better than bad. Again, ekes into good. Just seems a little bit better than these tanks down here. So again, when I see it on the battlefield and I come across the IS-2, that must be this one. Yeah, there we go. Well, I'm going to use this as the IS-2. Apologize if it's not. I was wondering what this was. I finally found it. I think I'm going to go in bad. You can't snapshot in this tank. You've got to aim in every time. A lot of players don't do that. So you're going to miss by a mile. I swear this tank. It's pretty good. And amazingly, Although the ISs are both here for me, and this tank has my highest win rate, but I just don't like it. I don't know why I do well in it. Crazy. It's really weird. What else we got? We got the tank destroyer, the T-34 2GFT. It's a little bit low to the ground. The gun does hit hard, and the armor can work. Snipe, the camo is good. I think it keeps it alive a little bit better. Um, it is a tough tank to play, but the camo does really work on this. So, and the gun does work. So I'm gonna put it here again, scraping in, scraping. A lot of the Chinese tanks are scraping in here, in my opinion. It's a good. We have two tanks left, and this is where I'm a little bit. I think this is supposed to be the dragon. I wish it had the camo on it, then I could tell. Um, the gun really hits hard, especially Pramo, but lack of armor. But it does get into good. Its mobility is fantastic. Camo is fantastic. Gun is fantastic. It is a really, really great, sorry, great tank for pros. Good tank for newer players. We're going on to the. Wait, what is this? Have I missed a Chinese tank? Let me think here. We've had the T-34-1. What is this? I do not know. I do not like green eggs and ham. Okay, moving on. Special Nation tanks. Got a few to go through. Let's start off with the Drac. And the Drac goes into OP. Against tier 8, against tier 7, against tier 6. Near the end of battles, this tank is so deadly because you can just zoom around tanks and circle any tank you like to death. It's just so good at that. Against tier 8, you want to make sure you're not pushing in too soon because those big guns will wreck you and they're going to target you. So my advice would be to sit back a little bit, be patient. Tier 7, you can be a little bit more aggressive. Tier 6, you can definitely be more aggressive. The gun does not pan tanks as well as you might think, especially against heavy tanks, so be warned about that. Choose your targets carefully, but it's still an OP tank because it is a game changer with that quick track fixing thingamajiggy that it's got, and just its mobility is incredible. It is incredible. It's fantastic. A lovely, lovely tank, but it's lost a bit of its edge. I do admit that. The Lycan is a very strong tank. It's comparable to a Tiger, so I'm going to keep it here. And it doesn't have a crew, so you got that little advantage there. The Tankenstein, the gun does hit hard. Armor will keep it alive, hit points, things like that. It goes into good. It's okay. Pharaoh, 3 shells can be dangerous, so you just got to know how to use an auto reloader. So I'm just going to put into very good. But if you push too far, you're gonna have to go maximum good. So just don't push too far alone with this tank. You want some support around you. We have the Lupus. Now the Lupus, I think if you're a good player, it would be very good. I think for most players, I don't know why they struggle with it, but it does hit hard. It's got a good gun. It's got decent armor, hit points, things like that. So it's gonna be one of the stronger good tanks, but I'm not sure quite. I'm torn between these. The Pharaoh, I think the Pharaoh's armor does work. So does this. The gun works. I want to keep these tanks together. Okay, I'm going to scrape the Lupus into very good. You just have to do a little bit of effort, and I think it will perform similar to the Tigers. So scraping in there. The Annihilator, well, it's going to go, where would it go? Let me think about this. Is it going to good? But, oh, boom, right there, right there. Of course, why? It's got everything. That speed boost, awesome. Gun, awesome. You can just shred any tank you come across. Just load Prema if you think the tank you come across is a threat to you. But oh my goodness, Smusher. Where should I put that? With a gun that just like nukes pretty much tanks off the game in seconds. It goes, yep, right there. OP. You'll miss shots. That's painful, but you connect against those lightly armored targets. For goodness sake. Helsing, not quite as strong. I don't think it's quite a game changer. These are game-changing tanks. These are not game-changing tanks. They're very good tanks. This is the Titan or something like that. It seems to perform quite well. I think it's one of the better tanks in tier 7 when it comes to mediums. I don't think it's quite as good as these tanks up here, so I'm just going to keep it in good. Against tier 6, it can definitely do the business, that's for sure. The Magnet, likewise, it's not quite very good, but it is definitely good. It's a solid tank. It's very close to the Titan tank. Yeah, scary tanks, if you ask me. I think this is the Nameless. Nameless is, yeah, it's good. I think that otherwise gets the edge. So I'm going to put in very good. It's very much like a tiger. So I think you're golden there. Blaze, it's gotten some improvements. I would have put it down here for the longest time, but it did get some buffs. Gun does hit hard, so snipe at the back. I think this is the Hafen. Oh, the Hafen. Oh, dear God. This is a horrible tank. Just a horrible, 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 horrible tank. Goodness me, this tank stinks. Oh, the CS53 does not stink. It doesn't quite get into very good, though. I think for pros, very good. But yeah, I think for most players, it's just going to be stuck in good. It's definitely one of the better mediums. The Lep, the Sphere and the Leo tier 7 tanks pretty much identical. I don't see people perform very well in them. So unfortunately, I think, I don't know why. I'm going to drop them down a little bit. The thing about these tanks is their HE is very good. So get behind tanks and unload that HE and you can really rack up the damage. But if you're not doing that, it seems like a very lackluster tank. And it's got good hold down capability. But again, as I said before, people don't really understand hold down. So Vindicator, it's just a tough tank in certain positions. It could scrape into good just because the armor does work against tier 6s and it does vaporize tanks, but it's just so freaking slow. So just get around it and you're golden. Predator, never been a fan of this tank. It always seems weak. I don't even know if I can put it in good. I guess the gun does kind of hit hard, but it's as big as a tank. It doesn't have that much armor. It's just scraping into good there. Scraping. The Gravedigger. Against tier 6, I guess it's good. Against tier 7s, I think the pen really makes it suffer, so I'm gonna actually put in bad. It can really be dominant against tier 6, but I mean, put it against tier 8s, and you're not going to pen half the tanks. It's object 252, yeah, good luck. I mean, rough. And that long reload is going to kill. But if you can find a tank that you get behind everything, but it's not fast enough, so yeah, I'm going to stick in bad. Sorry. Armor does work. Hit points. I guess I'll put it in good. Barely. Another scraper, just like the Predator. They're scraping in. Hmm. Yeah, I think so. This is I forget the name, the E5 or something like that, the tier 7 one of the tanks that they had. I don't see him on the battlefield these days. It doesn't seem to play very well. People get dominated. It's comparable to a medium. It might scrape into good. I think I'm going to leave it in bad. The P43 Tur, I think Tur, right? I think I'll stick in bad as well. I think most people don't know how to play this well. Sorry, my apologies. What else we got? Oh, the M4 FL10. It's got the auto reloader, which is nice, but it's pretty high up. It's hard to kind of position your tank. I think it goes into bad. It's not a tank I would encourage people to pick up. I think people struggle mightily in it. Okay. Okay. Where do we got here? We're down to the European line. Oh, I already did one, which was the CS52, and we did the P43 just a second ago. Oh, right, we've got the T34-100, right? That's what this is. So I think it's actually a pretty decent tank. I think it's actually probably the best of the American-based tanks and the Soviet-based tanks. It's just got a little bit of something, a little bit of something, something. So yeah, not that bad. The Hibachi, the T45 Polish heavy tank. It's okay. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, good, I guess. Armor, gun, tungsten. That's nice. I'll put it to good. Yeah, I mean, it's a heavy tank. So now the Skoda, and I think this is Skoda T45, the premium tank. Yeah, seems pretty good. I'm not. Maybe very good. I think I'm just going to keep it in good. It seems comparable to this tank. Likewise, we have the VZ44. I, it's quite mobile. I'll put it right next to these tanks. Seem comparable. Hmm. And now we're down to the wire. We've got 5 tanks. Well, I know one is a T-49, so that's not supposed to be here. What do we got? I need a tank for the CC-56. Is it, is it, it's not this one. It doesn't have that thing on the side of it. It's not this. I don't see this CC-56 here. Maybe it's not been put into the game yet. I don't know. CC-56. Let's call this the CC-56. I do apologize if it's not it. Well, in fact, I know it's not it. It goes into very good. Yeah, hold down. This tank's armor is freaking amazing. Freaking amazing. The turret is absolutely awesome. Turn to the side though, you're gonna get penned. So not great news there. I've seen this tank around. I cannot think of the name of it to save my life. But it doesn't perform well. Let's put it that way. If you can tell me what this tank is, I'd appreciate it. I remember that this is where is the Hafen? Yes, that's this. It's only been on the battlefield a handful of times because it just kind of stinks. So people stop playing it. People want good tanks, or they at least want fun tanks. These tanks down here, they're not really that much fun, and they're not very strong. Although I do see people do quite well in the Vindicator and the AMX 1375. These tanks can do very well in the right hands, but in the right hands. We're talking about players who just come into grips with the game, don't really know exactly what they're doing, don't understand a lot of things. We're talking 45 to 50% players. I'm not talking about the 40% players, and I'm not talking about the players that kind of understand how to play the game. And I'm not going off what I like or what I dislike. It's just when I come up against these tanks, I see them played very poorly and very easy to kill, or they do quite well against me and my team and dish out the damage or protect their team and things like that. So I think we have got all the tanks. Oh, wait. The Polish tank. Yes, the Polish medium, the CS44. Let's go with this, the CS44. I don't think that's the right color. And it's not this one, because that thing, what the heck is that? Uh, it's a medium. What can I say about it? It's a medium. That's okay. It's nothing to write home about. I think it gets a slight edge over the P43 Tour, not by much. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'll drop it down here. Um, yeah, maybe I'll put it to bad. I guess good players can do decently in it, but most players don't. So I think we've come to the end of our little adventure. This tank, I have no clue what this is. I mean, that's the T49. I mean, I don't know why it's here. And this tank, I couldn't tell you what this is. What is that? So, that is my tier 7 list. As you can see, armor gets you up here. You stay alive longer. You can perform on the battlefield. Bigger guns also more dangerous. Why? Because of the threat factor. You intimidate people. People attack you. You hit them hard. They're like, "Ooh, I'm going to back on up." I mean, especially against newer players. But good players will be like, "I can take that and just keep on going in." But bad players, "Whoa, he hit me for 400. I'm going to back on up." No, he just fired. He's got a long reload. Oh, I don't want to get hit again. Sure, you don't want to get hit again. The problem is he's reloading. It's your chance to attack. People don't get that. A lot of people don't get that. So, yeah. I'm just taking a quick look and see if I would like to move any tanks up. I think actually, uh, I'm gonna move one tank, the T28 concept. I'm gonna move into very good. This is such a strong tank to deal with frontally. It's almost like dealing with a mouse frontally. It's just against a tier 6 tanks cannot pen this frontally. I don't think it's just so freaking strong. Against tier 8, yeah, you'll be able to pen it, but even then you'll get a few bounces. Its weakness is lack of a turret, but I think I have to put it into very good. What else we got? Anything? Yeah, as you can see, the good section, they've got armor, they've got hit points, or they've got a decent armor and decent speed, or they've got a decent gun and they've got that intimidation factor. You'll get some ricochets from the mediums and heavies, but they won't be able to really intimidate these tanks up here. And moving down into the bad category, yeah, these tanks, a lot of them they're either team dependent because they're very slow, like this tank or this tank. They don't have, they're big and they're easy to hit. They have okay armor, but not enough to really scare people away. They have lost a bit of their edge, and you must, your team must be able to know what they're doing to take advantage of you. I mean, for example, if you're playing the E25 on Normandy and the enemy tanks are pushing in, you're golden. You're good. You got lots of shots. You can rip them apart, track them to high heaven. Great. But if your team goes over and pushes and leaves you in the dirt, you've got to go and attack. And your best attribute is your camo. So you want to soften tanks up from distance, push in later. That's why I see so many people struggle with a lot of tanks. And of course, you have tanks like the Bulldog or the turret with very little armor. The AMX is, I mean, zero armor. You're going to get HE'd, especially by the Scorpions, the SU-130s, the ISU-152s, the Smashers. Need I go on? Just big guns will, they see you and like, and they're like, hi, boom, and you're like, oh, there's my game gone. I mean, you have full hit points sometimes, and you're like, we're gonna win this, and one shot you're gone, or almost gone, and that's it, because another tank takes you out, and now you're not able to do what you were planning to do. You were like, I've got this in the bag. I got this. Oh no, I get it. One shots, you have to have them, but it's just tougher for new players. So down here, these tanks are just rough going. VK 30.02. Come on, Wargame, give it some freaking love. Really needs something. Give it some more armor. Yeah, that would really be appreciated. Or better pen, better alpha, something. It's just such a weak tank. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I managed to scrape in under 40 minutes here, so hope you enjoyed that, and I hope I was able to pick all the tanks correctly, although I admit the T34, sorry, T43, the T43 Rudy, and T34-100, very similar tanks. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I'll see you next time. Snugs on Blitz, out. Oh, wait, one last thing. Before I dash off, I would like to let you know that the Patreon page is now up, so you can check that out if you want to contribute to the channel and help me out. And if you're in Asia, there's an option to be able to platoon with me, and I can really help you out. I can also analyze your battles. So there's going to be another video. Maybe I've already announced it by the time this video comes out. So, but I just want to remind people about that. I'll see you next time. Snugs on Blitz.